leader, and then Don Davies, the former interim leader and MP for Vancouver Kingsway. After the remarks, we'll take some questions from the floor, and there's also folks here on Zoom. So I will come around with the mic just so that people on Zoom can also hear the questions. Go ahead, Leah.
Thank you so much, and good morning, everyone. As you know, my name is Leah Gazan, and I'm the proud Member of Parliament for Winnipeg Centre. And I want to acknowledge that this press conference is located on Treaty 1 territory and the proud homeland of the Métis Nation. I am so delighted and so honored to be joined today for our very first press conference with our outstanding, inspirational new leader, Avi Lewis, and our former interim leader, Don Davies, who has led us through one of the most difficult times in our party's history. This is truly an exciting time for our party. I can feel it in my bones. We are ready to rebuild with new energy, ideas, and thousands upon thousands of new people that have joined our party, record fundraising numbers, and of course, I want to also honor all the candidates that took part in the leadership race. They were all outstanding and helped to rebuild our party. So it is with that, it is my honor, my pleasure, and with great excitement to introduce the person who has brought so much of that new energy with his record-breaking leadership campaign, record-breaking fundraising, our leader, Avi Lewis.
We're missing the roaring crowd today, Leah.
Yes.
It's a slightly different vibe in this room from yesterday's. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, Leah. And Dawn, it is a pleasure to stand beside you. And I'm looking forward to working alongside both of you in the next chapter of our party's history. It's been an exciting first 24 hours. After the events of yesterday, I went and met the federal caucus for the very first time. Took off for the provincial legislature and met Premier Wab Kinew for an hour or more in his office. I enjoyed his words of wisdom and encouragement. There's a lot to learn right here in Manitoba from this NDP government. They're taking action on affordability, on healthcare. That's why we're taking action with a plan for a public option for groceries and talking about fulfilling Tommy Douglas's dream of head-to-toe healthcare in Canada, and was thrilled to talk more with the Premier about his plan to control surveillance pricing, surveillance capitalism in the grocery store, and this question of using AI to adopt different prices for different individuals, which is a grossly unfair and scary practice, which Manitoba is the first in Canada to take action against. Wab talked with energy and passion about the inspiration and the energy that he felt from the campaign, and we're going to keep talking regularly, but I'm very grateful for Wab's friendship and support. Meeting the caucus was great. We have a tiny, mighty team. I thank Don for his extraordinary work in this period. We've actually emerged as a caucus clearly stronger in this difficult period, and that's thanks to Don's inspiring interim leadership. I thanked Heather for a fantastic campaign. She was an extremely worthy opponent, and her work in Parliament is something that I look forward to learning from. And I thanked her personally for displaying tremendous grace on what must have been a difficult day for her. We were on stage together, we were in caucus together, and I think it speaks to the unity of our party going forward, that we're already rowing in the same direction. Don and the caucus made it clear that they will continue to hold the Liberal government accountable in Parliament. We don't have any other progressive voice in the Parliament right now apart from the NDP caucus, and they've been punching above their weight. They're going to continue to do that. It was a little bit of a weird situation. I told them it was a bit like being the first the first day at school, except I'm not even enrolled because I'm not in the I'm not in the caucus in Parliament with them. But what was interesting was we have all agreed, and I heard from the caucus speaking in one voice, that they've got the work in Ottawa, and they would like to see me continue. I've been meeting with New Democrats for almost 7 months, and they asked me to continue now meeting with Canadians from coast to coast to coast. We're going to keep going. We're going to meet Canadians where they work on the shop floor, where they live in communities. We're going to keep touring and traveling the country. The caucus was unanimous that they don't see a need for me to be in Parliament immediately, and that's something that I had already determined. So our plan from day one is to fan out and meet Canadians where they live. And that includes the fundamental constituency for the NDP as a workers' party, and that is the workers of Canada. After this press conference, I'll be meeting with Bea Brusk, the head of the labour movement in Canada. Bea has been an incredible president of the CLC, an incredible ally of the party, and I want to sit down with her, drink some coffee, and talk about the reality of what workers are facing in this country. The grinding cost of living emergency, just trying to get by in an impossible economy, is what we are laser focused on, what we have been in the campaign, and we will continue to be. In the spirit of getting right to work, I'm also announcing my transition team today. I've got 3 senior staff from the campaign with deep experience in the NDP, in movements, and in winning campaigns. So I wanted to let you all know that Savannah Wilson, my campaign manager for this historic campaign, will be serving as my chief of staff. They are the most brilliant organizer I've ever met, and were absolutely instrumental in securing this victory, the most votes and the greatest margin of victory in an NDP leadership campaign since we adopted a one-member, one-vote system. Savannah has experience winning campaigns. Savannah's from Saskatchewan and has won municipal campaigns and has worked in provincial leadership campaigns and won those as well, and brings administrative experience as the executive director of a successful nonprofit in Toronto. Peyton Veach is my campaign policy director as of today, becomes principal secretary, developed the policy offer on this campaign that brought tens of thousands of people into the NDP, focused on improving the lives of millions of Canadians with in-depth, detailed, and very practical, doable ideas. We have stolen Peyton from Wab Kinew's team, where he served as the chief of staff to Manitoba's Minister of Justice. There was little tug of war. I think the Manitoba government is happy to support us, but they are going to miss Peyton fiercely. And Donia Ziai will be the Director of Communications in the transition after performing that role brilliantly on our campaign. Donia has decades of experience in media and communications, including at the CBC. And Donia's lived experience as an Iranian immigrant to this country brings deep knowledge and connections that we will need to rebuild the party. And that's what I have to say to start with. Could I beg someone for a glass of water? Thank you. Now, I'll pass the mic to Don.
I think Leah.
Leah, oh, you're back, Leah?
Yes. So thank you so much, Avi. So excited to have you as our new leader, as I think everybody probably in the room knows. Now, it's my honor to introduce our next speaker, Member of Parliament for Vancouver Kingsway, Don Davies. Don has been a phenomenal interim leader. He's been a great colleague. He is a good friend. And he has led us, as I indicated, through one of the most difficult times in our history with grace, with determination, and famously good humor. Don, I want to share my appreciation for everything that you've done over the last 10 months. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I have such a tremendous deep respect for you and your leadership and your teamwork. So the floor is yours. Here you go. Take the mic, Don.
Thank you, Leah. one of the greatest privileges of being interim leader was the opportunity to work with what I consider to be the finest caucus in the House of Commons. And as I've said, we didn't have one leader this past 10 months. We've had 6. Thank you, Avi, for outlining the path forward, one that is focused on the needs and priorities of everyday Canadians who really are struggling to get by in an economy that is not set up for them. Since the last election, myself, Leah, and our caucus colleagues have been, as Avi pointed out, a lone voice in Parliament, holding the Liberals to account and putting forward ideas that give working people the relief that they need. We're the only party in the House of Commons who consistently raise the need to strengthen public health care, to build housing people can actually afford, to fight for labor rights, for action on the climate crisis, and for things like progressive foreign policy. We're going to continue that work in the House of Commons this spring, now supported by a wonderful permanent leader who will be taking our messages in the House, in particular tackling the cost of living crisis directly to Canadians in their communities across our great country, listening to them, hearing their priorities, so that when Avi does come into the House of Commons, he will be able to powerfully articulate those needs and build the program that we know Canadians need from coast to coast. As Avi mentioned, we had our first caucus meeting yesterday, and the caucus is 100% united behind our new leader. We have a team that's ready to fight for the millions of people who have been left behind, not only by this Liberal government, but by previous Liberal governments and previous Conservative governments, who have turned to cuts and, frankly, Conservative policies in this House of Commons. As I've said, we don't have a Liberal and Conservative party. We have 2 Conservative parties in the House. We've got a hard right version led by Pierre Poilievre, and we have a centre-right version led by Mark Carney. And so the New Democrats look forward to being a powerful voice for all those voters who do not see themselves reflected in those policies. It's been the honour of a lifetime to serve as interim leader of this great party. Canada, I believe, needs us today more than they have ever needed us, as a voice for working people and everybody else who's left behind by policies left by parties that are more interested in corporate profits and the interests of the wealthy and powerful than they are in the needs of ordinary folks. I'm ready to support our new leader however I can, in whatever way Avi needs me, and in whatever capacity he asks me to serve. One good thing about being interim leader is I have no ego left. That's a good thing. I'm excited to work with him to rebuild our party and give Canadians hope that a better country and a better world is not only possible, but one that the NDP is going to help bring into existence. Thank you.
Thanks. We're going to open it up to questions. Just to explain how this is going to work, I'm using a mic so that everyone who's tuning in online can hear the questions. I'll take a few from the floor first, and then I'll head over to Zoom. And folks on Zoom, if you could just use the raise hand function, please, if you have a question. And if you could please just start by introducing yourself with your name and the outlet or show you're from. And we're just going to limit it to 1 question and 1 follow-up, please. Rahim.
Rahim Ahmed from the National Post. Congratulations on yesterday's win, and thank you for putting up with me over the past 6 months. I know it hasn't always been easy.
I thought you were off the trail now.
Unfortunately, it was cheaper to fly back today, so all ended up working out. But so over the past 24 hours, you've received a number of messages of congratulations. One person who hasn't posted anything publicly just yet is your immediate predecessor, Jagmeet Singh. Has Mr. Singh reached out to you privately?
Yes, absolutely. We're trying to get on a call together. Jagmeet, in his quintessential fashion, reached out to all the candidates, and we're all looking forward to connecting with him.
And is Mr. Singh someone you're going to be taking advice from as you transition into the role, as you build out your own your own operations?
I would be delighted to get advice from Jagmeet. I think he remains, as I found knocking doors in the last election, and as I found crisscrossing the country over the last 6 months, there's so much love for Jagmeet out there in our base, in our party, and beyond. And he's got some kind of magic that I would love a part of. Oui, je peux essayer. On va voir. Oh, la même question. Oui, j'ai reçu un message de Jagmeet Singh et on va parler. J'ai hâte d'écouter ces mots d'encouragement et d'avis aussi. Et il y a beaucoup d'amour, respect pour Jagmeet dans notre parti et ma sœur.
Hi, Avi. Tyler Searle here from the Winnipeg Free Press. We met the other night at your rally. Congratulations on the win. I'm wondering if you can tell us a little bit more about I believe you said it was roughly an hour-long or a little hour-long conversation you had with Wab Kinew. What kind of advice did he impart to you, Avi?
Well, I think Wab was really clear that one of the things that he appreciated about our campaign was the clarity of our proposals, our laser-like focus on the grinding emergency of people trying to pay their bills. Shocking to see the latest numbers that a majority of Canadians are cutting back on food, reducing portion sizes, or skipping meals because they can't afford the price of food in this country. And a majority of Canadians relying on credit to buy food, which is extremely dangerous in our current precarious economic environment. WAB is also focused on the same things, freezing the price of milk in Manitoba and looking at a whole range of measures for affordability, but particularly around food prices. And, you know, the other thing that we talked about in more detail was WAB's framing of the relationship between the provincial and wings and the federal party. WAB wants a strong, clear federal New Democratic Party. We think we can support our provincial sections best by winning more seats and rising in the polls and reaching more Canadians. And WAB is excited for that. But he also said yesterday to the media as well, and he repeated it to me, we don't have to agree on every single thing in order to do big things together. And this is a generous and open spirit of democratic debate within our party. It's a good thing. We agreed, and we talked about this in more detail, that the debates within our party are a sign of health, means our tent is growing, our coalition is growing. And Wab and I discussed, you know, things we agree on and disagree on. But it was, the spirit is that we're New Democrats, and the overwhelming priority for us is a dignified life for every working person in this country, awash in wealth, where people are really struggling. He had a huge printout from the budget over the mantle in his handsome office of the lowest deficit in the country by province. And we spoke a little bit about the prairie prudence with public finance that the government here in Manitoba is showing, and yet the ability to double down on healthcare, on the care economy, and on affordability for Canadians.
It seems like there's many things that you guys do agree on from a policy standpoint. What are the things that you disagree on from a policy standpoint?
I mean, we haven't found many specifics yet, but I think, you know, there's a question of energy development. And it may be that if the port in the north, whether it's Churchill or somewhere else, ends up being the destination for more oil and gas exports, that's something that we in the federal NDP do not think serves Canadians. The energy economy is extremely unstable. Just go and try to fill up your car. It's more than $2 a liter for gas. This is a direct result of another illegal war for oil. And oil is driving the price shock that's coming. It's going to make the cost of living even harder. And we think that we need to accelerate the transition to a more stable, secure, and safe economy and a more independent Canadian economy, which actually means not shipping our raw resources elsewhere, but using Canadian materials to create good unionized Canadian jobs across all sectors. And renewable energy can be a major focus of major investments here. Wab and I might not sing exactly from the same song sheet on that issue, but that is one issue among many.
Hi there, Avi. Marina von Stackelberg from CBC News. You mentioned that you spoke with Heather McPherson. What will her role be under your leadership?
Well, Heather is a leader in Parliament, and I'm looking forward to learning from her. We're going to figure out the exact rules within the caucus as we go forward. We just had our very first caucus meeting. It was in the convention center right behind the stage practically, and we haven't gotten down to all those conversations, but they'll be forthcoming.
The NDP is $13 million in debt. You're not an elected MP in the House of Commons, which means you won't get a salary there. Will you be taking a salary from the party?
Yes, I think it's appropriate for the leader to be paid. I don't know where you got that number, and we haven't talked about
That's the number from the convention. 13 million.
We have a. Oh, in the finances from the convention, we have a significant debt. I'm not sure those were the very latest figures, but we're excited about retiring that debt as quickly as possible. We raised way over $1 million on our campaign alone, and almost $500,000 for the party just from our campaign, and significantly more from all of the campaigns combined. We're excited to raise money. That's part of connecting with Canadians across the country and part of the excitement and energy of our large events and of our outreach to existing members and the growth in members that we saw tens of thousands of new members enter the party. Just wait for it to mute the Zoom.
Instead of Fed, can we say Carney? And then can we flip the order because it's our program?
Someone's already writing their story. Actually, let's listen to this. I want to hear the copy editing. Little live copy editing for you there. Yeah, so the fundraising challenge is real, but we are excited to embrace it. And I think that part of getting election ready is retiring that debt as fast as possible. And that is one of the reasons that I'm not entering the House of Commons at the first available opportunity, but actually staying out here where we can keep building our finances and our base and the excitement for our proposals.
All right. Good morning, Avi. Dave Baxter, Canadian Press. Congrats on the victory yesterday.
Thank you.
And we'll go back to what you're talking about with the difference between yourself and Wab Kinew on energy policy. Of course, Alberta NDP leader Naheed Nenshi putting out his statement yesterday. Saskatchewan NDP leader Carla Beck writing a letter saying she won't take a meeting with you unless you reverse some of your stances on the energy policy. Is there any room for compromise on your end to try to smooth things over with these two Prairie NDPs?
Well, first of all, I cannot wait for Carla to be the Premier of Saskatchewan. We desperately need relief from the Scott Moe government and its cruelty towards workers and its, I mean, next to Alberta, one of the most regressive governments in Canada. And I've told Naheed, and I've said many times, that I cannot wait for him to be Premier of Alberta. We fully support those provincial sections. Whatever ruffles in the family, my door is open and my hand outstretched to Carla to talk when she's ready. I do believe that hard conversations are necessary. I'm a person who actually welcomes them. I think that we need to have them. And as Wab said, we don't have to agree on every little thing in order to do big things together. So I can't wait to do big things on housing, on healthcare, and on the cost of living with Carla and Naheed and all of the provincial sections across the country. As in terms of the policy on energy, it's not my policy. We have run a 7-month campaign where the policy proposals were clear from day one. We won the largest mandate for any NDP leadership race in history. We brought in tens of thousands of new members, and we won a thumping victory on the first ballot, larger than any previous one in the one-member, one-vote era. We have a mandate from the members, and I have a responsibility to be consistent with the ideas that brought those folks into the party and to support our campaign, and I'll continue to do that. Oui, ce n'est pas mes idées. C'est le politique de campagne. qui a été annoncé de commencement et il y a 1000 de nouveaux membres et les personnes de la base du parti qui a beaucoup d'enthousiasme pour notre politique et on ne va pas changer ça parce qu'il y a une responsabilité à la base pour être consistant.
Yeah, and just to follow up on a different topic, a new report published this morning says that Canadian banks and pension funds have put billions into major ICE subcontractors. This includes companies like AT&T, Palantir, General Dynamics, L3 Harris. What do you think what are your thoughts on this happening, and what do you think the federal government response should be?
Canadians do not want our public funds going to what is essentially Donald Trump's personal military arm, masked paramilitary murdering American citizens. I think Canadians are scandalized by this, by ICE, and we've been consistent as a party across the country that we don't think that Canadian businesses should be doing business with ICE, and we certainly don't think that Canadian pension funds should be investing in the infrastructure of repression in the United States.
Anything that should do?
Sorry?
Should the federal government do anything?
Well, I mean, it depends. I haven't seen this story that you're referring to yet, David, and I look forward to learning the details. At which point we can say what would be the appropriate federal response and mechanism. But certainly public funds and public pensions should not be invested in repression.
We're going to take a couple of questions on Zoom and come back to the floor. Mike, go ahead if you want to unmute.
I'm assuming you mean Mike Lecouture?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Perfect. Hi, Avi. Mike Lecouture with CTV News. You were speaking just earlier about how you need to have these hard conversations with some of the provincial leaders of the NDP. But how do you rebuild the party when it's pretty clear that Carla Beck won't meet with you and Naheed Nenshi is saying that just because you're a member of the provincial NDP doesn't mean you're a member of the federal NDP? It seems like it's going to be difficult to rebuild.
You know, Doug Ford and Pierre Poilievre don't get along at all. And I don't know that they ever talk, but they battle in the media, and the Conservative Party staggers on day after day, week after week. There are differences in our NDP family that are the exception in a huge shared base of values, a commitment to the dignified daily lives of working class Canadians. And I think, you know, as far as Carla goes, like I said, my door is open. I'm ready to talk at any time. I think that's how we get through these hard conversations. I look forward to having those hard conversations. The focus on energy and energy policy is on the workers. And I've said consistently throughout this campaign that workers cannot feed their families on a slogan of just transition. They can't transition into a job that is not a job, it's just a promise of a job. We actually need to build new industries funded by the federal government, which appears to have hundreds of billions of dollars for military investments over the next decade. We think if there's those kind of resources available, that we should have an east-west 21st century electricity grid to create tens of thousands of unionized jobs for east-west electricity trading between provinces instead of shipping our energy to the United States, using Canadian steel and Canadian resources, returning independence to the Canadian economy, and creating those good unionized family-supporting jobs that fossil fuel workers can transition into in that industry and others. But the jobs have to be there first, which is why we can't kick the can down the road anymore, and we actually have to establish an infrastructure of good jobs across this country before we ask a single worker to take the hit. And I'll just add that the oil industry in Canada has figured out how to make a barrel of oil with 45% fewer workers in the last decade. That means that the biggest threat to oil and gas jobs in Canada today is automation by the industry itself. Those workers, like all resource workers, want to get off the boom and bust economy because the bust is always coming next. And the tens of billions of dollars in windfall profits that the oil industry is looking forward to right now, thanks to the oil price shock because of an illegal and reprehensible war, That money's not coming down to the workers. The oil industry has consistently shown that it will make more and more money with fewer and fewer workers, and we want to take care of those workers in the NDP. We are the Workers' Party. We have a plan to do that, and that's the priority.
Just as a follow-up, you were mentioning kicking the can down the road. How far are you going to kick the can down the road when it comes to running for Parliament? What is the moment that you are looking at deciding now will be the time for me to run for a seat?
What a lovely metaphor in that question. Thank you. Thank you for that image. I don't feel like I'm running down the road after a can. I feel like I'm going back out to speak to all Canadians and not just NDP members. To introduce them to our specific proposals around addressing the crippling cost of living crisis in Canada. When the caucus and I feel that the party is at a point where I'm needed in the House of Commons, I will look for the first available winnable seat, and that moment is not now.
Thanks. I'll go to Timor next. Go ahead.
Hi, this is Timor Durrani from the Globe and Mail. Congratulations on your win yesterday, Mr. Lewis. Mr. Lewis, my press colleagues here today mentioned that your win has drawn immediate backlash from NDP leaders in Saskatchewan and Alberta. But, you know, part of what those leaders said is that they do not support you because of your calls to impose levies on oil and gas pipelines and oil and gas in general. Over the last few months, including this past weekend, you've mentioned the transition away from fossil fuels and a new green energy deal. Could you today please specify what exactly you're hoping for with oil and gas pipelines in particular? Like any details and specifics on that would be great to sort of understand your platform for people as they're watching today and trying to get a sense of that from you.
Well, we've been expanding oil and gas production in Canada relentlessly over past decades. And many Canadians have believed for a long time that we don't need to keep expanding it. That's the specific call, is to stop increasing production of oil and gas in this country. We have never, ever said to shut it all down tomorrow. We have never said leave it all in the ground. We want to start the process of protecting workers from the next bust. We want to get off the boom and bust roller coaster. And every time that anyone talks about starting a transition, the conversation is buried by this bad faith narrative that we're calling for shutting it all down tomorrow, which we're not. And that's why kicking the can down the road has to come to an end. We need to start this transition. We have exciting proposals for how to build tens of thousands of new jobs with public investment and public ownership, and that's the work we've got to get started on. In terms of a pipeline, there isn't a business proponent for an east-west pipeline. There isn't an actual plan. And there's a lot of talk and a lot of political capital and a lot of oxygen being wasted on a project that would take a very long time to complete, that will cost in the range of $40 billion, for which the private sector is clearly not prepared to pay. And it's not going to solve any short-term crisis, and we are in many overlapping short-term crises. And so this is not where we need to be spending our time and energy. We have the crisis of the cost of living, which we need to address with many of the proposals we've talked about today. That's the priority right now.
Just as a follow-up, Mr. Lewis, on a separate topic, you know, at least one prominent Jewish group and few others have accused you of harboring anti-Israel sentiments that this group and others believe are harmful to the Jewish community. I know you yourself are Jewish, and you have, of course, supported Palestine over the last few weeks, the last few months, and during this campaign as well. I wonder, what do you have to say about that these Jewish groups are calling you anti-Israel at this point?
Well, I come from a long tradition, a multi-generation tradition of Jewish anti-Zionism. My great-grandfather was a leader in the Jewish Labor Bund, which was founded in 1897, 5 weeks after the first meeting of the World Zionist Congress. So as long as there's been formal pro-Israel Zionist organizations, there's been a tradition that has disagreed with that within the Jewish community. I believe there's a significant number of Canadian Jews who feel the way I do, and it's been very welcome to feel so at home in the NDP, a party which has expressed moral clarity over the genocide in Gaza consistently, as we express our outrage over the illegal attack on Iran, which is destabilizing our daily lives and geopolitics and the world economy all at the same time. And this is part and parcel of being anti-war, pro-international law and fundamental human rights. And that's my legacy as a Jewish person. It's part of my culture, and it's part of my Jewishness. And not all people in the Jewish community in Canada agree. And those are more hard conversations and more hard debates, which we have in our own families and which we have in our community, and they're not going anywhere. But I've been clear and consistent in my position, and my position is pro-human life.
We have time for 2 more questions. I'll take 1 more from Zoom, and then I'll come back to you on the floor. Mylène Crête, La Presse.
Bonjour.
Bonjour.
J'aimerais savoir pourquoi est-ce qu'il n'y a personne du Québec dans votre équipe, votre garde rapprochée?
Alors, le nouveau président du parti est un camarade très proche. Niall Ricardo habite à Montréal, est québécois. Il y a des autres dans la famille MPD. Maintenant, nous allons à Ottawa et nous pratiquons nos français chaque jour. Et il y a des emplois de parti qui sont québécois et québécoises. Et il y a une équipe du NPD à Ottawa que je vais joindre avec des Québécois.
Merci. Je
Merci.
voulais savoir, est-ce que vous vous attendez à perdre Alexandre Boulris au cours des prochaines semaines?
J'ai vu Alexandre hier dans la réunion de caucus et je l'ai regardé dans les yeux et j'ai dit, s'il vous plaît, restez avec nous. Et je comprends qu'il n'a pas fait une décision finale et on espère qu'il reste avec nous.
Est-ce qu'il y a quelque chose que vous pouvez faire pour le convaincre?
C'est une 3e question, mais j'ai... Oui.
OK. Catherine Moreau, Radio-Canada. Parlant de français, justement, Michael Rousseau, le PDG d'Air Canada, a annoncé qu'il prendrait sa retraite suite notamment à la controverse par rapport à son bilinguisme. Est-ce que vous pensez que c'est la bonne décision qu'il a prise?
Absolument. C'est essentiel d'avoir des chefs bilingues, spécialement avec une compagnie très importante nationale qui est basée au Québec. Et c'est la 2e fois. Alors, c'est une décision correcte.
I think my colleagues will appreciate that in English.
Yes, I think the resignation of the CEO of Air Canada is appropriate. It's a bilingual country. This is an important national company that is based in Quebec. It's a strike too, and I think it was the right move.
Pour ma question follow-up, c'est un autre sujet. On vous a qualifié de populiste dans les derniers jours. Comment vous réagissez à cet adjectif?
Cet adjectif? Le populisme n'est pas seulement une chose de la droite, mais c'est une idée qu'il y a une petite élite qui contrôle tous les secteurs de l'économie et il y a 99% de nous qui souffrent cette inégalité de pouvoir et de la richesse. Et pour nous, le populisme de la gauche, c'est très important pour offrir des politiques qui amélioreraient la vie quotidienne de tous nous.
What do you think of the characterization that you are populist?
Yeah, I think that populism has been understood as a right-wing phenomenon because right-wing populism has been on the rise for the last couple of decades. But at its core, populism is the political view that society is controlled by a tiny elite. This is clearly the case when we look at the 5 huge grocery chains that can dominate 80% of the market, the 6 great giant banks that made $70 billion in profits last year, the 3 telecommunications companies that dominate cell phones and internet connectivity in this country. Right-wing populists imagine conspiracies of immigrants or Jews or a tiny class of puppeteers who control the world. Left-wing populists believe that capitalism concentrates wealth and power in the fewest hands, and we need policies and a response that actually responds to the needs of the 99% of us. The left-wing populism is...
Well, you could have waited 1 minute.
This is a song about my first kiss.
Is a political philosophy based in the preciousness of every human life and the respect for fundamental human rights. Right-wing populism is not. It demonizes small groups of people. And I think I appreciate the question because I hope there is some curiosity in the storytelling class in Canada about what left-wing populism can offer, because we've had a lot of those ideas from the right, and we're coming with a completely different set of ideas that are populist and popular. And I hope I get more questions like that about the specifics.
That sounds like a great note to end it.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
All right, there you have it. I hope you'll leave your comments in the comment area and your ideas, your thoughts. And give a like, follow, and subscribe. We appreciate you taking your time to come and watch this with us. We'll be back. Have a good morning. Bye-bye.